we built it in their office this time. So the offline module. So now we have an online recon module and an offline recon module. But earlier, finance teams used to take 3 to 4 months to do this. Now our software does it in 3 hours.
Wow, that's a huge time.
Like 5-6 member team for 3 months. Now the software does it in 3 hours. So it was a really magical thing for them. Plus there is a money saving in the discount validation. Even the dilemma of starting bangara tension because we were like, I was growing there quite well also. But luckily my parents were extremely supportive. Try and my dad and mom were very supportive. So and we took a plunge. And it's very similar plunge to, they say you jump off the mountain and then figure out how to build an aeroplane. Clear strategy to be honest. But team configure. Then I went and spoke to every brand in the country once we had PMF. So now I have spoken to every D2C large company in the country. Most of them are my customers also now.
Wow.
Then realized I went and physically flew down and met every founder in the country. So all of these, I've met every them physically to maintain relationships, to build relationships, etc. But I Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, Kolkata, fly. So I take about 10 to 15 flights a month now. So I'm around all these places.
Okay, so interesting. Shopify and WhatsApp. This is domain operating company Soccer.io. ഇതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടർ അർജുനായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഷോപ്പിഫൈ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വാട്സാപ്പ് ആയിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ചെക്ക് ഔട്ട് സോക്കോ. ഒരു പല റോൾസിലേക്ക് ഹയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന കൂടി ഉണ്ട്. സോ മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ചെക്ക് ദം ഔട്ട്. ഇതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടർ അർജുൻ ലിങ്ക്ഡിനിൽ യു ക്യാൻ റീച്ച് ദം ഔട്ട് ആൻഡ് മേക്ക് ഷുവർ യു മെൻഷൻ KPH പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് ആസ് എ റെഫറൻസ്. നൗ ബാക്ക് ടു ദ വീഡിയോ. ഹായ് ഓൾ, വെൽക്കം ടു അനദർ KPH പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ്. ഇന്ന് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഒരു സ്പെഷ്യൽ ഗസ്റ്റ് ആണ് ഷെരീഫ് മുഹമ്മദ് ഫ്രം കോഴിക്കോട്. ബിൽഡിംഗ് എ company, SaaS company in e-commerce space. Your company, Shiprocket 1.5 million fund. Then e podcast will be talking more into how he got started in this and current status and what he looks for the future as well. Welcome, Shereef, to the KPH podcast.
Thank you so much.
Shereef, and how did you eventually got into tech? What is that journey like?
So it's a very long story, Anna. So my dad was in the Indian Air Force. So I studied all around the country in the start.
Kendra Vidyalaya.
Kendra Vidyalaya. But I went to school around the country.
Oh.
So I mostly north. So we lived all around Pune, Delhi, Bangalore, Jaisalmer. We were in Kolkata for some time near Bagdogra.
So all India travel
in fact, our siblings Tamil ippolum Hindi aanu samsarikka. So we even now India samsarikka north. Then our dad left the Air Force and then he joined Wipro and he was in Saudi Arabia for 1 year. But ഞങ്ങൾ അങ്ങനെ സൗദി പോയി. ഞാൻ 8th class സൗദി പോയി. And then we came back and then 11th, 12th and 10th grade ഞാൻ കോഴിക്കോട് ചെയ്തതാ. So that's my introduction to Kerala. അങ്ങനെ. അപ്പോൾ that's the story, long story short. അപ്പോൾ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് I went to Nottingham University in Malaysia.
Oh.
So I went to the Malaysia campus because my sister had gone there before. So she's 2 years elder to me. I took finance, Bachelor of Arts in Finance, a course. To be honest, it was not strategic or just it was just a thing that sounded right at that time. And I took finance. I studied in Malaysia. Did a lot of travel there also. I traveled all across Southeast Asia while studying. And I went for China for some time. So then came back to Malaysia, finished my course. I immediately joined SP Jain.
Okay.
SP Jain is a global program. They have in 3 countries, Singapore, Australia and Dubai, or semester.
Okay.
So I did that immediately after that. And that was also in advanced finance. The second decision also was not a very thought decision. It was taken with the flow. I got a campus placement And it was a very lucky one. It was a great organization called Pioneering Ventures.
Okay.
It was a private equity firm.
Oh.
Private equity / venture capital. So they used to take greenfield projects, scale it, and then sell the company. So that was the model eventually it was started with. Power to Churn, it was a fantastic job. A very small team, and where I was working directly with the global MD. He's my mentor also, Akshay Kamath. He's in fact angel invested in Logibricks also. I'll come to that.
Wow.
So I worked there for 4 years. I was traveling all around. I was taking 20 flights a month.
Wow.
I was fully travel. That was a very good learning experience in terms of I really understood how to deal with people, how to do sales, how to make a deal. So that was a big learning curve for me there. It was a very good job. For an MBA graduate, it was a dream job. That was based out of Bombay, but I was mostly traveling. It's a very coincidence. So the mentor's name is Akshay Kamath. He was my super boss. He was an MD of the company, and he was very close to me. And for some reason, we built a very good relationship. So he advised me, why don't you meet Karan Varnete? So at that time, by the 3rd year, I was heading one of the businesses called FarmLink.
Okay.
I was heading the business overall. And it was a direct-to-customer fruits and vegetables delivery.
Okay, D2C brand.
D2C brand, but it's very different because it was similar to Zepto and Blinkit before they happened.
Oh, which year was this?
This was around 6 years ago.
Okay.
We used to go to societies, set up fruits and vegetable stalls all across Bombay and then sell for 3-4 hours there and come back. So I was heading that business. So I needed some tech help.
Okay.
I was more of a finance guy, operations guy, running a physical business person. I needed some tech support. So then my boss told me this. I call him boss. All of us call him boss. He told me to meet Karan. And so they were doing something around this space. Project. So he was my vendor technically.
Okay.
Both of them. So and then we decided that let's start something together. And we clicked this idea. We built out the whole tool for FarmLink first, and then after 3-4 months, we phased out and we started. That's how Logibricks was born.
Okay.
And with my boss's blessing, and I left his company only.
Oh, you also invested as well?
Yeah, I invested as well. So then we started. That's how Logibricks started.
This was in 2020, I think.
2020.
So how was the initial days of Logibricks?
Perfect. It's a very exciting initial days, very scary also.
And bootstrap, you never raised funding at initially,
First
right?
2 years with Tira fundraiser. And even the dilemma of starting Bangura tension, because we were like, I was growing there quite well also. But luckily, my parents were extremely supportive. Try and my dad and mom were very supportive. So and we took a plunge. And it's very similar plunge to, they say, you jump off the mountain and then figure out how to build an aeroplane. Clear strategy, to be honest. And we wanted to do something in the text automation space because we realized it adds value. That's how it started. We were initially bootstrapped. We first built an ERP.
Okay.
And we built an entire ERP, all the modules, sales, inventory, purchase, everything was built into it.
From scratch?
Oh. And we had an anchor customer. And that anchor customer was a very big 6,000 crore company.
Wow.
And it was a family-run business. And we started building the ERP for him. The ERP was made. Then we started selling, and we multiple clients, 10-15 clients, and it was an implementation model. It was not a SaaS monthly model. It was a one-time charge and an annual AMC.
Oh.
What we quickly realized was that this is highly customizable. So it cannot be standardized in anywhere.
Okay.
So even though we were making good money, we all left our comfy jobs and we wanted to do something big. So that was the larger idea. So we realized that this will not scale fast because it cannot be standardized. And even my partners were also from very good, they left very good jobs. So Karan is from IIM Ahmedabad, Ame has a chartered accountant, All India rank 3. Whoa. So it is, all of them they're all working in, Karan was working in Syngenta, Ame was working in Asian Paints and Reliance, etc. So then we decided that we need to do something big. So that was very clear that it has to be a product that can scale across barriers. Nana clear.
അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു ERP പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ജസ്റ്റ് ബി ഫോർ ദ ഓഡിയൻസ്, അതായത് ഒരു സെയിം സംഭവം എടുത്ത് മൾട്ടിപ്പിൾ സ്ഥലത്ത് സെല്ലാൻ പറ്റില്ല. യു ഹാവ് ടു കസ്റ്റമൈസ് ടു ദിസ് മോർ ഓഫ് എ സർവീസ് എലമെന്റ് കൂടി ആഡ് ആവുന്നുണ്ട്.
ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ആഡ് ആവുന്നുണ്ട് സർവീസ് എലമെന്റ്. പിന്നെ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ചേഞ്ചസും ആൾക്കാരും
മോഡ്യൂൾസ് ആഡ് ചെയ്യണോ റിമൂവ് ചെയ്യണോ. സോ ഇറ്റ് ഡസന്റ് മേക്ക് സെൻസ് ടു ഗോ ഫർദർ അൺലെസ് യു ആർ ബിൽഡിംഗ് എ ലൈക്ക് ഐ തിങ്ക്.
Perfect. And that's the right way to think of it. I still say there is a market for it. There is a demand for it. There is a space that money can be made.
Yeah.
But we were not able to do it, and because we were not able to standardize it in a way. Because all the client manufacturing extreme complex processes and overall. So now looking back, I think the right strategy is to pick a sector and then build the ERP deep and focus into that niche.
Makes sense. So ഒരു niche ഒരു ERP build ചെയ്യാൻ would have been a
niche വേണം. Because you cannot just say I'll build for manufacturing. You have to be like, okay, I'll build for auto spare parts. It has to be that deep. So your ERP is extremely focused on that layer only. So then it makes sense. Then there could be an element of standardize, because otherwise the processes really change from each sector to sector like a way. So that was my learning there. And another learning was we realized that it was a long sell.
And the sales cycle.
Sales cycle is huge. It has to be convinced 6 months edukum. Then implementation is a very high touch process again. It needs to be like, people need to be met, people physically met, explained. So it was very tough to do digitally again. So that was the second learning there.
Okay, so when did you decide to even pivot to something?
A very interesting question. So this was right when COVID had hit. Okay. So and anyways, the offline ERP market was down for that time. And e-commerce was booming. And then we thought, why don't we build... This was the first pivot.
Okay.
From ERP to we pivot. Two pivot.
Okay.
So the first pivot was ERP ന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾ OMS ലേക്ക് ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത്. OMS എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഓർഡർ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് സിസ്റ്റം ആണ്. I'll give you an example what an OMS does so that it's clear. Say നിങ്ങളൊരു ടീഷർട്ട് വെക്കാണ്. നിങ്ങളുടെ അടുത്ത് 50 സ്റ്റോക്ക് ഉണ്ട്, 50 സ്റ്റോക്കിലുണ്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ വെയർ ഹൗസിൽ. ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ അത് എവിടെയെല്ലാം വെക്കും? ആമസോൺ, ഫ്ലിപ്കാർട്ട്, മിന്ത്ര, യുവർ ഓൺ വെബ്സൈറ്റ്, കറക്റ്റ്? ഇപ്പൊ ആമസോണിന് 5 ഓർഡർ വന്ന. സോ വാട്ട് ഈസ് യുവർ സ്റ്റോക്ക് നൗ? 45. കറക്റ്റ്? ഈ 45 ആയത്, ഹൗ ഡസ് ഫ്ലിപ്കാർട്ട് ആൻഡ് മിന്ത്ര നോ?
We don't treat it.
They don't talk to each other.
Okay.
Because Amazon in the 5 order vannale stock 45 aayi, but Flipkart and Myntra and your website stock doesn't know that, because they don't talk to each other. So this is there's an aggregator layer that's called an order management system. That layer is built by, because we were trying to build.
Okay.
So adile vannale it automatically links via APIs to all Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Shopify, everything. Then an order comes from Amazon, it will automatically update Flipkart and Myntra that 5 stock kornittundenna.
Makes sense.
This order management system also has logistics integration. So ShipRocket, VamaShip, like all the logistics providers can be done through an API call. Appa adine shipping, packing label shipping. So order will come, packing label is printed, shipping couriers API does automatically call, and the courier guy will come to your place as well. So this is an order management system. Since we had the inventory module, all the other modules ready, so we thought the sales in a module, if you make it sit on top of the existing ERP, this will be a good tool. So basically your online store ku bacha products vanam, purchase vanam, inventory vanam, all of the other modules which were already built. So it made a lot of sense to add that, and during this COVID it became a boom as well.
Okay. How did that go?
So ഞങ്ങൾ അത് ആദ്യം ഉണ്ടാക്കി ഫുള്ള്. We integrated with Shopify, we integrated all that, we experimented. Again, we were working in the dark here. This was another mistake that I feel we made here, was that ഞങ്ങൾ കുറേ problems ഞങ്ങൾ തന്നെ assume ചെയ്തു that the customer might have.
Okay.
Which was a very bad decision retrospect. We should actually sit with the customer, ideate with them and build backwards from there.
നമ്മൾ വെറുതെ കുറെ ടൈം അത് വേസ്റ്റ് അല്ലാതെ.
അല്ല, ഞങ്ങൾ കുറെ ഓഫീസിൽ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് സ്വന്തം അസ്യൂം ചെയ്ത് ഈ പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ടാവും, അവർക്ക് ഈ പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ടാവും. But when we actually went to the market, it was a different scene. That was a big mistake that we realized. Now, the order management system ഉണ്ടാക്കുമ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങള് ഫസ്റ്റ് ലേണിംഗ് വാസ് ഞങ്ങൾ ആ കസ്റ്റമറിന് കൂടെ ഇരുന്ന് ഉണ്ടാക്കണം. That was the big learning for us, because ഞങ്ങൾ കുറെ പ്രോബ്ലംസ് അസ്യൂം ചെയ്തിട്ട് we kept building and realizing that അവർക്ക് ഈ പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ടാവും. And at that time we didn't even know much people in the ecosystem. Now I build it, I know a lot of people and I can make a phone call and ask them, is there a problem? But at that time, we didn't know anybody. So I would highly suggest anybody starting new, focus on your customers, sit with them, really understand their process and then start building things.
Right.
So that is the first learning that we had. Second learning that we had was there is a big difference between who you're selling to and who is using your product. Okay, so we are selling to the D2C founder, but the person using the product is sitting in the warehouse.
Right.
And this warehouse person would be generally a 12th standard പഠിച്ച ആളായിരിക്കും and would very expert in the warehouse operations. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് finally ഞങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടാകുമ്പോൾ we have a competitor at that time called Unicommerce. It's a public listed company now. Our initial thesis, we pivoted from an order management system also, but I'm telling you the story. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ Unicommerce ആയിരുന്നു കോമ്പറ്റീറ്റർ. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ഒരു കമ്പനീൻ്റെ അകത്ത് പോയി and I started with my first learning that you have to meet the customer. And a company I remember it was Man Matters. It's a very big D2C company. They make supplements and all of the other things. Then I went to warehouse and I spoke to the warehouse guy. How do you use it? And he says, sir, ये blue button दिख रहा है ना? मैं ये दबाता हूँ, फिर paper निकलता है, उसके बाद मैं ये दबाता हूँ. So it was very UX dependent on him. He didn't even read what was written inside. It was very like E button does this, E button does that. So that's when I realized that we over engineer certain problems which need not be done. So that was my second learning, and this was the learning that there's a difference between who you're selling to, who is using it. So I feel like when you're selling to somebody, your pitch should be that, but the person who's using it should get used. That's when stickiness will come. Otherwise, you impress it, work anyways, a product will stop.
Yeah, correct.
So that was the second learning there. Now I'll tell you why we pivoted. We built the whole product.
Right.
So to be honest, I'll tell you a couple of mistakes from there also.
How long it took to build it? Like
1 year.
1 year.
1 year it took. This was pre-AI.
Oh.
Yeah. So we raised $1.5 million.
Oh, from Shiprocket.
From Shiprocket. This was my big learning. I'll tell you how big it is.
Right.
Money wise. So we raised, it was around 10.5 crores for us. I'll tell you, it's a funny story. When the money hit the bank also, just a week before, we were bootstrapped all this while, and all our personal savings were put in the company.
Right.
This funding, our bank balance was 50,000 rupees or something. The whole company bank balance was 50,000.
You were like close to death.
See, we were always doing service engagements. So we could make money. So we were all clear that whenever we run short, we go make an app for somebody, go build a website for somebody. So it was not like we were dead, but we could always make money. But it was never, we were very clear, we didn't want to be in the services business. We want to be a product company. That's clarity. So that was a very interesting story. When this money came, it was like a magical number to see in the back.
What did you do that day?
Yes, we were just all sitting together, and we had all personally put a lot of our capital. So all of us had our savings our life savings put into the company. So it was a big relief for us. We started planning. Then we structured teams well, etc. Order management, office, I think it was a SaaS founder. The first mistake is you sit in the thing and you over-engineer, over-build things and you create big mansions of problems in your head itself, which may not exist. So I would highly suggest that you should speak to the customer, stay as close to the customer as possible, and then build and reverse engineer from that. The OMS we approached multiple customers. There is a high switching cost. So a big company which is already trained on a order management system existingly, their warehouse staff is trained, their operations staff is trained, all the finance staff is using that reports, etc. So even if the founder wants to switch the order management system or they are not happy with the current order management system, it's a very tough exercise. And on the existing operations warehouse, which is daily, they are processing 10,000 orders a day. For them to switch was a very, very tough task that we realized. So it was a very, very impossible type of a sale, which we started feeling.
Okay.
And the other option was we really approached the small customers. But small customers at that time, we were running out of money also.
Oh, they were running out of money, or
We were running out of money.
oh, like you already raised money.
We had raised 10 crores. We spent about 50 to 60% of this in building the first product.
Oh,
It was a very costly mistake for us, to be honest.
for the ERP thing.
For the OMS, order management system, which was ERP plus the sales module on top.
Oh, by CR spend ചെയ്തു.
YCR spend ചെയ്ത് കുറെ and ആ ടൈമിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ we went back to building things, and then another mistake was that I feel you should ship fast and sell fast and then come back and build again. So ഞങ്ങൾ ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് സെല് ചെയ്യാമെന്ന് യാതൊരു ചെയ്ത് that was another mistake that we made.
Years and months for the spend, then sell, then the market have changed.
Yes, absolutely. So it was a very, very heavy mistake for us at that time. And then we realized that money is not, we sell to the small people, money is not made. Because if you sell to the small seller, this is like made like doing 10 orders or 100 orders a day, which the market price is 1 rupee per order.
Okay. So you don't make as much money to
Very little. Or customer maybe 500, 600 rupees, and there is implementation effort. So it is not worth to put so much cost behind a customer where the money is not being able to recoup.
ഷോപ്പിഫൈ ആൻഡ് വാട്സാപ്പ് ഇത് രണ്ടും ഡൊമെയിനിൽ ഓപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന കമ്പനിയാണ് Soco.io. ഇതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടറായി അർജുനായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഷോപ്പിഫൈ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വാട്സാപ്പ് ആയിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ചെക്ക് ഔട്ട് സോക്കോ. ഒരു പല റോൾസിലേക്ക് ഹയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന കൂടിയുണ്ട്. സോ മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ചെക്ക് ദം ഔട്ട്. ഇതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടർ അർജുൻ ലിങ്ക്ഡിനിൽ യു ക്യാൻ റീച്ച് ദം ഔട്ട് ആൻഡ് മേക്ക് ഷുവർ യു മെൻഷൻ KPH podcast as a reference. Now back to the video.
So you have raised your bootstrap, you raised funding, you almost like fund ഒക്കെ ചെലവായി, and then what's next?
Yes. So ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾ ഈ ഓർഡർ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് സിസ്റ്റം വെക്കുമ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ കുറെ ആൾക്കാരുടെ അടുത്ത് സംസാരിച്ച് ആൻഡ് വി റിയലൈസ് ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് സെല്ലിംഗ്. പക്ഷെ ദ ബിഗ് light at the end of the tunnel was e process of talking to customers, at least now, while selling the ERP, gave us connections, gave us the nuance in the sector that is happening. And that's when we realized that reconciliation is a big problem. And this was an insight that came from the customer. So I would not say OMS and I got a lot of learning from the OMS, and because of which I could build this.
Right.
See, had I not built the OMS, I would have not gotten here.
Maybe along the journey, our unique insight kitti, we has led to even maybe reconciliation. What is reconciliation?
Yes. So reconciliation, I'll tell you the thing. It basically, imagine you're a seller, you'll sell on Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra website. So what all of these pay places have to pay you money for your settlement. paisa kitna generally is not correct, or there is a lot of confusion around what the amount is. So I'll give you in case of website and marketplaces.
Okay.
Website, you have multiple revenue channels. So you get from payment gateway, you get from cash, the logistics provider na COD payments angane varum. Then there are payment aggregators like GoQuick. Then there are logistics aggregators like Shiprocket. So the money comes from 10-15 different places, and the finance teams generally struggle. So in fact, when we started speaking to customers, a lot of the finance people didn't even know what their margin is, because they didn't know etra paisa katte iditana varunadu.
Right.
So we realized this insight. So this is what we solve for in the website piece. In the marketplaces piece, Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, ivar ellarum commission cut editana paisa. So there are a lot of different charges: pick and pack fee, commission fee, there's a COD fee, there's an FBA fee. Depending on the shipping model, kore charges in it. So this again was a pain point for the customer, that we realized that they are not able to understand ki inda etra charge ennalladu. Like commissions example ki certain products have certain different commissions in Amazon. So like clothing has different, electronics is different. About the buying sections, and so it gets very confusing. Even listing is very confusing. For example, boxers. Boxers can be listed as innerwear, can also be listed as shorts. Okay. This is commission.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So innerwear has a lower commission, or the other way around, I've forgotten, but they have different commissions. So that is a big pain point for the customers. So this coupled with the whole thing is what we realized we should bundle a product around this, and we built it for the online sales.
So how was the initial response as you?
Now, like, immediately we got 2 this time we built it with an anchor customer.
Yes, you already had a customer, we built alongside with
Yes.
ഒരു ഡിസൈൻ പാർട്ട്ണർ ഫേസ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത്.
Yes, correct. ഇതിന്റെ കൂടെ ഞങ്ങളൊരു ഓഫ്ലൈൻ റീകൺസിലിയേഷൻ മോഡ്യൂളും ഉണ്ടാക്കി.
ഓക്കെ.
That is also a very interesting story is that ഞങ്ങളൊരു നെറ്റ്വർക്കിംഗ് ഇവന്റിൽ പോയതാണ് and we were trying to sell to all the customers and we were pushing the online sales part to him. But he told me this was the person who was heading the tech implementation for Mufti.
Okay.
You heard of Mufti, right? The clothing company. It's a very big clothing company. They have multiple outlets all around. Even in Bangalore, they have a big warehouse here also. He told me offline reconciliation is a big problem. അപ്പോൾ I was in sales. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു sir അല്ലെങ്കിൽ anything we can build എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാൻ അവിടെ പോയിട്ട് തിരിച്ചു വന്നേ. And the next day he called me. നിങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ. അപ്പോൾ then we went to his office. I took my other co-founder. We went there. And then we realized the offline problem. So offline what we do, I'll give you an example. Say an apparel company, their sales channels are online marketplaces, website. Then they have something called offline. Offline, they have two things called EBO and MBO. EBO is exclusive business outlet.
Okay.
आप example, say Allen Solly or Arrow or any large apparel company like say Jack and Jones. Jack and Jones is also my customer. Jack and Jones they have their own stores. So they get the sales data from their own stores, from their own POS.
Right.
So they have 1,000 outlets or something. It's their point of sale that is running in their shops, correct?
Yeah.
So that data comes to them. The problem is in the multi-brand outlet. So multi-brand outlet is when a Jack and Jones sells to, say, Westside or Pantaloons or Reliance Brands or Aishwarya Fashion or anybody, any reseller.
Right.
Now Jack and Jones cannot dictate the point of sale they are using, correct? It's not, they can use what they want to.
Yeah, it's not in their control.
It's not in their control.
Yeah.
So now the problem statement here is, ഈ ഡേ സെയിൽ നടക്കുന്നത് സെയിൽ ഓർ റിട്ടേൺ മോഡലിലാണ്. സോ ബേസിക്കലി ജാക്ക് ആൻഡ് ജോൺസ് ആദ്യം ഗിവ്സ് ദ മെറ്റീരിയൽ, അത് വിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിന്റെ പൈസ അവർ തിരിച്ചു തരും. ഓക്കെ,
അല്ലെങ്കിൽ റിട്ടേൺ അടിക്കും.
കറക്റ്റ്. അപ്പൊ ഇതില് പ്രോബ്ലം സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് ഇതാണ്, ദാറ്റ് ഇവർക്ക് ഈ ഡിസ്കൗണ്ടും കൊടുക്കും ഇവര്. So discounts are bill based. So there's a discount validation record. So for example, 5,000 rupees 1,000 off, 7,000 rupees ഒരു ജാക്കറ്റ് ഫ്രീ, അങ്ങനത്തെ കുറെ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി, ബൈ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി ഗെറ്റ് ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി, ബൈ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി ഗെറ്റ് വാല്യൂ, ബൈ ക്വാണ്ടിറ്റി ഗെറ്റ് പെർസെന്റേജ്.
അവിടെയുള്ള കുറെ റീകൺസിലേഷൻ തിങ് ഒരു വലിയ പ്രോബ്ലം തന്നെയാണ്. So we thought, okay, that we can solve with code എന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾ വിചാരിച്ചു. Then we realized that Jack company like a Mufti or a Jack and Jones, they have more than 1,000 MBO points. And they have about 150 MBO sellers. Like Westside, Pantaloons or Now each one of them has a different POS. Appa avari Excel sheet ekkumbo, it comes in 100 different formats. So imagine the finance person's problem. An Excel sheet comes in 100 formats. He needs to first unify it, then do a discount validation, then run it, and then send the working back to the customer. So we automated the entire process. So from the scheme creation, scheme communication, data unification vare cheyum, discount validation cheyum, and finally a credit note, debit note issue through an offline tool. This was built in Mufti's office for 3 months straight. Oh, you built it?
We built it in their office this time. So the offline module. So now we have an online recon module and an offline recon module. അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ ഇപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ ഫുൾ ഇപ്പോൾ earlier finance teams used to take 3 to 4 months to do this. Now our software does it in 3 hours.
Wow, that's a huge time save.
Like 5-6 member team for 3 months. Now the software does it in 3 hours. So it was a really magical thing for them. Plus there is a money saving in the discount validation. ഇപ്പോൾ വിചാരിച്ച ചില ആൾക്കാർ buy 5,000 get 1,000 off, അവർക്ക് they give 2,000 off. And so we can catch all of that.
പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് മാർക്കറ്റ് ഫിറ്റ് ആ ഒരു സ്റ്റേജ് എത്തിയപ്പോഴുള്ള ഒരു ഫീലിംഗ് എന്തായിരുന്നു? വൺസ് യു ഫൈൻഡ് പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് മാർക്കറ്റ് ഫിറ്റ്, വാട്ട് വാസ് ദ ജേർണി നെക്സ്റ്റ്?
സോ ഞങ്ങൾ ഈ പറഞ്ഞില്ല, ഞാൻ മുഫ്തിന്റെ കൂടെ ഉണ്ടാക്കി, we built the prototype with them, and then ആ വീക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് we went to Jack and Jones. So it was a very goosebumps moment ആയിരുന്നു for us, because we went there, we sat in the cabin, ഫിനാൻസിന്റെ ഹെഡായിരുന്നു അവിടെ ഉള്ള ആളുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പം ഞങ്ങൾ ഇങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞ് വി ഹവ് ഗോട്ട് എ പ്രോഡക്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് ദിസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് and he told it, we are desperately in search of something like this since the last 2 years in Bharat. And then me and my founder just looked at each other because it is real cash flow impact for them. It is a big problem statement. Avarku bhayangara prashnal oru problem. It's a very lot of manual intervention of people also. So then it was a very goosebump moment for us. Me and my founder, we walked down and then we didn't talk to each other. We just looked at each other and we smiled, and I think that was PMF for us. That we understood that there is product market fit here.
ഈ ഒരു മെർച്ചന്റിന് അത് യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആവണമെങ്കിൽ then there are other people who
Because it's the same problem statement, the multi-brand outlet. This is my offline reconciliation. In the online reconciliation, the product market fit was these people started paying, and then one customer we stopped. He said he called and paid himself. So that was on the online, that was the product market fit for us. That because he's scared that the software will close.
Yeah.
So that was a big product market fit for us.
അപ്പൊ എത്ര ടീം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു? How big was the team? And
So we were about 40 people then.
40. Then you had to hire more people to get to the next stage.
So the team actually കുറച്ച് reconfigure ആയി. So the tech team മാറിയിട്ട് customer support team അധികം കൂടി.
കാരണം product was already most built and how to.
ഇതിലും കുറെ ലേണിംഗ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഞങ്ങളുടെ കസ്റ്റമർ സപ്പോർട്ടിൽ. We earlier used to hire people who are good in talking, communication, etc., which is also important. But now we have realized that since this is a finance product, we needed finance staff. So we are exclusively hiring people who have just not able to clear their CA or just cleared CA. So that becomes a sweet spot for us because they understand finance. The finance teams understand their language, etc. So that was the.
That's a very good.
It's it. A team angane configure ആയി. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് then I went and spoke to every brand in the country once we had PMF. So now I have spoken to every D2C large company in the country. Most of them are my customers also now.
Wow.
So I have customers like Minimalist, Foxtail, Pilgrim, The Whole Truth Food,
Wow.
Damage, Jack and Jones is my customer, Mufti, Arvind Fashion, they have Tommy Hilfiger and all the other brands under them. So Flying Machine, Arrow. So that is also a big customer. So I've then realized I went and physically flew down and met every founder in the country. So all of these, I've met every them physically to maintain relationships, to build relationships, etc. But I അടുക്കടുക്ക് Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, Kolkata ഇങ്ങനെ fly ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കാൻ. So I take about 10 to 15 flights a month now. So I'm around all these places.
Okay.
So interesting. Yeah. So that journey was very interesting. And now with that journey, we're scaling that right now.
So once you added clients coming in, what were those challenges then? Every time you will have different challenges, right? The first was maybe finding that PMF thing. Then maybe what was the next challenge which you faced?
So the first challenge I faced is we realized that there's a sweet spot in funded companies because our auditing adhiga required. So it was more that was one sweet spot we found there. Second, we realized is that sometimes people deprioritize it. If suddenly full salary, suddenly they say, okay, we have something coming up, ippo use yam pattula. So these are some challenges that we see. Sometimes the challenges is that the team member itself leaves the job. When you lead in itra work, it suddenly it backs off. So those are some challenges, but I feel those are challenges every business has.
Now, ippathe current state endana?
Right now, we have about 60 to 70 customers on the platform, which is scaling. We are doing about 10 to 15 demos every week.
Wow.
So, conversion. So now that is naturally scaling. So we are about 30 people now.
Wow. Awesome. Now comes to the rapid round of questions. What are some of the books that you read over the journey and some of the books you recommend as well? Books like Garundo?
Not a heavy reader, to be honest, but I have read some books which I really liked. I'm more of a podcast listener.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of books, I have Nassim Taleb and The Skin in the Game, which I've really thoroughly enjoyed. It's a little tough for me to read, but I went through it and I really enjoyed it. Second, right now I'm reading something called Lilliput Land.
Okay.
It is about India's story, consumer story, which I find very interesting. So I feel like there is a massive consumption in India that is happening, and there is a huge growth potential here. So that gives me the confidence also to build in India for India.
Yes.
So that's that book I'm reading right now.
Awesome. And what about podcasts? What are the
podcasts? I'm a heavy listener to podcasts. So I listen to Andrew Huberman. I listen to Joe Rogan. I listen to Lex Friedman. I listen to all the big podcasters. I'm listening very thoroughly. I spend 4-5 hours a day on YouTube. listening to YouTube and Spotify. So these are the podcasts I listen to. I listen to All In podcast. That is my all-time favorite. So that I listen to. That's on every Friday.
And you have some mental models and everything you have figured out. I think you are very polished in some sense. And so you might have something.
Mental models with regards to work?
Yeah.
Right now, I've tried to, as much as possible, think from first principles. Or a problem in the problem, and then build, like Paul Graham, Y Combinator, first few customers do things that don't scale. So be with them, spend time with them, understand it deeply, then automate it and then hyperscale. But that are first customers, you should do things that don't scale, spend as much time as possible, understand the problem statement by being in the market. So that's my model I would definitely want everybody to think about.
Awesome. Check it out. So one of the questions we asked any of our guests coming to KPH is health, wealth and relationships. And at the end of the day, so how do you balance all this, or do you find the balance? I think you are very fit body as well, right? So it's like a calm mind, fit body, and house full of love, which makes the whole thing. So how do you balance the whole thing?
Starting latra balance undairnilla. It was very tough in the starting days, but now I have realized how to handle it, how to do it.
Either point importance How much?
Weight increased by 30 kgs.
30 kg?
In 2 years.
Wow. And first 2 years, I think.
First 2 years. Okay. Was at 17 or no. So that was the journey. And I was always very active into sports, etc. So it hurt me more that it got to this stage now.
Oh, yeah, because of stress or something? Or?
Not stress, it was just in front of the computer full time, sales and travel also. I'm living out of hotels and airports and all. So at the kind I really started prioritizing on health. Now I've taken a cult membership, so whenever I'm traveling, it suits this thing. I go to the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week.
Okay, morning or evening?
Evening. Or sometimes morning also, depends on the work. I cycle long distance. So I cycle 50 kilometers in Kozhikode only. Full beach, 50 kilometers almost twice a week in a cycle.
Okay, interesting.
In terms of wealth,
this is wealth building journey, I know.
Yeah, so everything is fully given to Logibricks. So all my life savings and everything for energy, everything is put into Logibricks. So when this scales, that's the financial, like eventually.
Hopefully it pays off very soon.
Yeah, inshallah. So I think it will, that's when we cash out. So that's where the money is being made. From an investing standpoint, I've not done much. Mostly everything is put to the company itself.
There will be various opportunity to pay it forward here as well. You can also invest in founders, days on as well. Yes. Awesome. And talk about relationships. Are you married, single? No. Are you looking for a bride? This is the best person.
No. I'm not married yet. Hopefully, I'll get married soon.
Awesome.
I'm meeting somebody soon.
Awesome. Good to hear that. Okay. Anything else for the audience you want to share with the journey? Anything you find maybe which would have saved you at least by 3 years or 5 years time?
I feel like, again, I keep emphasizing be as close to the customer as possible and reverse engineer from there if you're building something. Second thing I would say is keep your watch on all the AI trends. Try to pay with all the tools.
Do you use any tools like that?
I use a lot of tools in AI. So I use Gemini, I use ChatGPT, I use the locally hosted models on my system. I also use Replit, I use Bolt, I use almost every tool. I'm now experimenting with every tool, and it's literally what is being happening in the last 2 years is mind-blowing in the AI space. So I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there. I would advise everybody to watch it very closely.
Okay. And anything else?
That sounds from myself.
Okay, so the use AI tools plus maybe what are some of the things you would say to your, right now you're closing 30, right? If you were to go back to your 20-year-old self, what were some things you would be telling that version of you?
I feel I took a lot of stress because I had self-doubt in always what I was building. I would say build fast, fail fast, and build again. That's the logic I would now tell myself, that don't have self-doubt. If you feel, try something to do a run. Adu kayinittu work innillengil you can always change it or close it or build something else, but don't be in the loop of the same thing over and over again is what I would tell myself to change, probably back a bit.
Awesome. So over the last 1 hour നമ്മൾ ഷെരീഫായിട്ട് ലോജിബ്രിക്സിന്റെ ജേർണിയും how they got funded, initial 2 years bootstrapping, then got funded, and അവരിപ്പോൾ എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്ന സ്റ്റേജും. And it's a lot of learnings. One of my primary learning is talking to your customers and reaching PMF. That is more important for Hambwana. And I know they are very, very fortunate stage as well. And thanks, Shereef, for spending time and talking to you, even sharing these learnings. And I'm sure this episode will be useful for a lot of builders out there who are trying to make it. And they can take a lot of time, as you have shared a lot of mistakes you made on today. And that's it for today. And thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, this is okay.
ഷോപ്പിഫൈ ആൻഡ് വാട്സാപ്പ് ഇത് രണ്ടും ഡൊമെയിനിൽ ഓപ്പറേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന കമ്പനിയാണ് Socker.io. ഇതിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടർ അർജുനായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ ഷോപ്പിഫൈ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വാട്സാപ്പ് ആയിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ചെക്ക് ഔട്ട് സോക്കോ. ഒരു പല റോൾസിലേക്ക് ഹയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന കൂടിയുണ്ട്. സോ മേക്ക് ഷുവർ ചെക്ക് ദം ഔട്ട്. In the founder Arjun, LinkedIn, you can reach him out and make sure you mention KPH podcast as a reference. Now back to the video.